Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 33 of FPL BlackBox. It is one of those flashbulb moments that you'll just remember forever when the Triple Gameweek got announced. How you feeling, Mark?
Oh, I was shocked by that. Ben didn't even see it coming, did he?
He did not. No one saw that coming. I definitely didn't.
Yeah, it really took me by surprise. I couldn't believe. You know what? I didn't think it was possible, but I guess in the crazy season we've had, with the way the fixtures have piled up, maybe it was inevitable. I don't know.
It's the second one, isn't it? Because Birmingham had one years ago. I think everyone captained Zigic, right?
Was it Birmingham? I know that Joe put out a tweet today about the scout picks back in the day with that. And
I think it was Nikola Zigic, and everyone was like, "You've got a captain." He was like that 7 foot tall.
Yeah, he was a big lump centre forward, wasn't he?
Yeah. And he got 3 points.
Did he now? Well, that's worrying, isn't it? I always thought Sunderland had one. Didn't they have one with Sessegnon, or were we imagining that?
That was a double.
Was that just a double? Because it was funny because we were looking. I was thinking back as well, and I thought Southampton had one because I remember having Yoshida in my team, and I was thinking to myself, well, that would only have been a treble. Surely wouldn't have got Yoshida for a double, but maybe we did.
It was Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough, that's it. Middlesbrough. No, Middlesbrough, that's it. Because of the European ties they had. I think they had a treble.
So it wasn't Zigic then?
No, I don't know.
I remember captaining Zigic in a Triple Gameweek. Where have I got that memory from?
Maybe you didn't triple captain him, surely.
No, well, the chips weren't around then, were they? Back in those days.
No, exactly what we're talking about.
Back in my day, we didn't have one of these fancy
I'm old
chips.
enough to remember that. Yeah, but I mean, it is crazy, isn't it? So we have got a treble game week for Manchester United, and obviously tonight, that's the good thing about going later in the week. Obviously, you know, we get the chance to react to what happens, and on a Thursday, by then, normally things are broken. And so we benefit of the fact that we can dedicate the show to that. And we're going to look at double game week players as well. Lots to cover tonight, which is...
My brain hurts.
I know, and it's an early start. I'm quite proud of the fact we actually got started at 8 o'clock. We've done it.
I know.
Yeah.
We're on a good little streak at the moment, not having many technical problems. We're an hour earlier now because you're in the shed.
Don't say that. Don't say no technical problems. Yeah, having the shed as my new studio space is really useful because I can start earlier now. I'm thinking we maybe could start at 7, you know. Let's go mad. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. So, yeah, lots to talk about tonight. Certainly Manchester United, of course. We're going to dive deep into their data. And I've got some lovely stuff from Lego Mane, who's a friend from the community. He's been around for a long time. I don't know how many seasons he's been playing, but he's certainly in the early days of Scout he was around as well. And he's done some brilliant work on the ahead of the double game week, or treble game week as it is now. And so we're going to be looking at some of his charts, some of his work at the end of the show, one early on as well. And yeah, generally just going to look at all the double game week players by position. We're going to talk about potential chip strategies for those who have got chips, and then all the usual game week predictions, etc., etc. So we better crack on with a look at our game weeks.
To cover.
Yeah. Before, of course, we started with Mr. FPL Pig, or Pig FPL. So should we let him take it away and introduce the game week?
Absolutely. Who better to introduce the roundup of the game week than FPL Pig?
Had a passionate, wasn't sure who to play. I should have known. The fans would invade Old Trafford, a word of disgrace. The game postponed, and I can't even speak about it. Vardy and Kane with just 2 points to their name might be depressed. Sonny and Bale, no, they did not seem to fail. Their owners blessed, and I can't even tweet about it. Because we blacked out, oh no, because we blacked out.
Brilliant. Again.
There you go.
You know what? He's so good that I'm going to start listening to him just out of pleasure outside of this podcast. His voice is growing on me so much that's what's going to happen.
Every week he comes up with a new song. It's to lyrics to a song that obviously already exists. It's genius. A few people asking in the chat if it's going to be a regular thing. Yeah, why not? 2 minutes.
If he keeps doing them, and I think
he's doing them.
I think he's enjoying it. I keep seeing every now and then a little smile on his face when he delivers one of his clever lyrics, and I think he's really loving it.
I am looking forward to a really upbeat one, like Florence says in the chat. Like, you know, when he's had a really good game week and we get a nice, like, energetic.
Do you think he's going to do a Billy Joel number or something? Do you know? do you even know who Billy Joel is? Am I too old?
I do.
Oh, okay, right.
I do.
Yeah, maybe.
White Wedding, right?
Yeah, an Uptown Girl. Uptown Girl's got to be. I mean, like, he's the most upbeat piano-based singer I can think. Elton John, of course, he might be able to roll out one of the classics. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's so exciting. I look forward to them every week now. So, regardless of whether we show it in the FPL BlackBox, it's just something I look forward to at the start of the week.
Billy Idol. Not Billy Joel.
Oh, what did you say? White Wedding, you fool! You've let yourself down with your music knowledge. Yeah, of course.
You let yourself down. I didn't agreeing with me.
Yeah, but I didn't take in what you said. I presumed you got it right. But yes, it's a nice day for a white wedding. Do you remember that? It was an awful song, that was. Billy Joel is someone completely different. Look him up. It's a rabbit hole. You'll be there all day on YouTube. Okay, let's look at our game weeks. 35 points for you, Az. Not great, but obviously we had to deal with the postponement, didn't we? I mean, it's not as bad as Granville, 18 points. So much so he wanted 2 points for all his players that missed the game. I mean, what did we do about that? I mean, it was a shock, obviously, and you can't plan for it. And we all had at least 3 players, didn't we? How many did you have?
4.
You had 4.
I had 4 and no bench because Rudiger didn't play. Holding when I really needed Holding just to play, and he also get a clean sheet, and he doesn't feature. So yeah, point to me and Nacho. Everyone's pretty much got this point.
Yeah,
we both did Fernandez to Son, so at least we did that.
Yeah.
I listened back to we really slacked off Gareth Bale last week.
Did we? I didn't want to listen back to that.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
That wasn't our best.
I thought you said though that he was a good 1 week punt if you were free hitting or something, didn't you? I'm sure
I
you
said
said
if you were chasing,
right.
he was kind of perfect, but I wouldn't recommend him over Son and Kane. And I mean, I stand by that because I still think if you were going to get him, it would have been as part of a triple, and a triple on Spurs. I don't know if you want that long term, but yeah, fair enough. But
I also think Kane and Son are still ahead of him. If I was going to have 2 of them,
for sure.
But let's focus on it a little bit because I got it completely wrong. I didn't think he'd start necessarily. I didn't read Mason's team sheet. I was thrown completely by the fact that Bale started the game that Kane didn't because Kane was injured. Then he didn't start the cup final for obvious reasons. He doesn't track back. Fair enough. But I just presumed he wasn't necessarily first choice. With
hindsight, it was pretty obvious he was going to start. I was the same. I wasn't sure what his role in the team would be, but like we talked about on the pod the other day, they didn't need someone who could track back. They wanted that guy on the right who could just go and do whatever he wanted, and he did, and he was brilliant. And he was brilliant throughout the game. It wasn't just his goals, and also I think I realise now Mason's trying to win favour, right? He's trying to be a positive attacking football manager and win over the fans, and of course playing Bale's a great way of doing that. So it makes sense. And but we've said, isn't it? It's a mistake, and we've got to focus on that and make sure we don't do that again. And I just presumed I could read Mason's team sheet on the basis of 1 team sheet without Kane and 1 in a cup final. Of course I can't. So I got that completely wrong. So anyway, read through your team then. Mendy 7 points, Castagna 2, Cody 2, midfield. Son 12, good, and scored another goal which was offside. Very harsh again, but just getting sick of them, to be honest. Lingard 2, Salah, Greenwood didn't play. Keenan Davis comes off the bench, gets 1 point. He also comes off the bench in real life, but at least Vidra didn't score because that would have hurt. Because I know a lot of people would have had him coming off. Iheanacho 5, and then Kane. I mean, Kane. Who would have thought a massive win for Spurs, and Kane not only not being involved, but not really being that involved in the game. I thought he dropped deep a lot, didn't he? And was kind of the worrying part of Kane that we've seen previously in the season. I didn't think that would be the case in this game, but he was completely overshadowed by Son and Bale.
He had chances, to be fair. He did have chances, but you were right. I mean, I think it was the second goal that Bale scored and Kane wasn't really up with the play, otherwise he'd have been the one rolled in. It was a bit worrying actually because, the theory could be then that Bale... And with Bale in the team, it changes the dynamic a bit, and Kane drops deep to allow Bale and Son to run out in front, which kind of makes sense tactically. and also suits the way Kane's game has kind of changed. So, yeah, we've got to track that. I'm not about to sell Kane, but it's something to watch. Yeah.
No.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, let's move on.
I did slightly better. But...
I got PTSD from earlier in the season where I had game weeks like this. It was very poor.
Yeah, but, I think the Old Trafford situation was just unforeseen. And as I said, you had 4 players, I had 3, so I did slightly better as a result of that. My team, Mendy 7, Alonso 1. Why didn't Alonso play? He played last night. What's going on there? I just couldn't read that at all. Again, another mistake. Another mistake. Yeah, I know. Well, I kept him and he played the first game. I got that one okay because I think I got some stick on Twitter about, you got it wrong again. I don't think I got it wrong the first time. He played the first time. He just didn't do very well. But I kept him for this game thinking he would play because the rotation seemed to work in terms of, okay, Chilwell's not going to play 4 games in a row, but he did. He has. And now, presumably, he's going to play 5 in a row. But, yeah, Alonso 1 point. Dallas 1 point. No Trent. No Rudiger. No Salah. It gets better. Lingard 2. Son 2. 12. Iheanacho 5. And then Calvert-Lewin was the difference between our teams.
Yeah, Calvert-Lewin. I said to you, when you did the wild card and you kept Calvert-Lewin, I said to you, I think he's going to be a real good, a good hold. And with the double coming and then Wolves and Sheffield United, I think he's in place for you. I think that was a really good bit of well, it wasn't even a purchase, was it? You already had him. I think it was just a really sensible hold. Yeah, I kept him and Alonso, and obviously Alonso hasn't worked out, but I'm hoping Calvert-Lewin does. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, he looked good. He just, unlike Watkins and unlike when we saw Callum Wilson come to Goodison, those 2 strikers have come to Goodison and really shown for the ball, run the channels. They're actually so involved, but Calvert-Lewin just isn't. He's a good player, but he just stays in the penalty area, doesn't really link play, doesn't really run the channels as much as other strikers. So in games, he can get isolated and you kind of think, well, he's not doing anything here because he doesn't do much outside the box. They've got to get crosses into him. And when James isn't playing, there's no real route to him other than out wide with Dina and Coleman. But he was, he could have got a second when Dina crossed first time and he dived in. So they've just got to get him service, and then he will get goals. But he won't do much outside of that, basically. So he wasn't that impressive. But yeah, I was okay with 40 because a lot of managers did a lot worse because they had 5 or maybe more players in that Sunday game, which is just awful luck. So yeah, I got lucky to get 40, and so I was going to say we'd be kicking ourselves if we'd done Fernandes to Son. Oh God, blanked. Yeah. So. That's true. From Son and run. Yeah, when we made that transfer, we obviously didn't foresee the events that followed, so we got away with that big time. And so it was a fortune. We kind of backed Son to get points, obviously. That's the point of getting him in, but we didn't think that Fernandes wouldn't end up getting a fixture. So, yeah, very fortunate. I thank my lucky stars for that. And I got, as a result, when we look at the Great and the Good League, one of the smallest red arrows I've ever seen, down 11 places. Nearly grey. I know, nearly a grey. So yeah, I was very happy with that because it could have been a lot worse. But I've lost the top spot to Fabio, and more to the point, further down there, you are now. I know. Hovering over the relegation places. But the relegation fight. Joe overtook me. Yeah, I know. It just wasn't a good week. No, and you can be forgiven for that. For Tom Freeman, 64 points. He's on the march, and he's got the captain, I think. Yeah, and he's got the free hit and bench boost, and he's 10 points behind. I know. I'm a bit concerned. In fact, you're surrounded by players or managers with chips, aren't you? Which is surprising. Like Matthew Jones has got his wild card and his bench boost left, and Tom Freeman free hit and bench boost. So a lot of managers going into this period, these last 4 game weeks, with chips intact. Which is why, obviously in light of the treble game week, we're going to talk about chips as well. But just before we do, I think it's fitting to just pay one last visit to the Crellin catch-up, because I was thinking, what's Ben going to do? He's blown it. What do you mean he's blown it? What, because he didn't get this right? Yeah. Didn't see it coming? We forgive him. Trust him again. No, we forgive him. Dead to me. What's he going to do now for the next few weeks? He's been so busy. He's been such an amazing servant to the community over the past, few months since these fixtures started, being a major concern to us when the postponements came and the double game weeks loomed. So I think it's fitting that we have one last catch up and show his graphic here
which displays the situation that we're going into in Game Week 35, which is Manchester United with fixtures against Villa, Leicester and Liverpool. But more to the point, I'm going to show you the first graphic from Legamane, which helps us kind of picture what the dilemma is, because United play Roma tonight, and then obviously they have 3 days rest before they play Villa on Sunday, 2 days rest before Leicester, 2 days rest before Liverpool. Was 1 day's rest before Liverpool. So it's 3 matches in 5 days. Villa, Leicester, Liverpool. And we kind of expected a weaker team against Roma tonight. And it hasn't really arrived, does it? I mean, this is the United lineup tonight. De Gea, Bailly, Maguire, Pogba, Cavani, Greenwood, Fred, Bruno, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Van der Beek.
What's the logic?
I don't know.
What is the logic of that?
I guess it's... I mean, I've said this on the pod the other day, that they don't want to give them any kind of glimpse of hope by fielding the second string team.
6-2 up. 6-2. And you're not trusting like some of your like... If you can't even trust your reserve players to hold out a 6-2 aggregate lead, what is the point of them even being in the team, in the squad?
But like I said, if Roma get a couple of goals early on, it's suddenly it's a scenario you don't want, isn't it? And you can only bring 3 on. You can only bring 3 of your strongest team on. So.
Four goals.
Well, I'm shocked. I kind of thought Bruno would play. I kind of thought Maguire would play. I didn't think the whole cast would be out there. Wan-Bissaka, Shaw. Does he need to play? Surely not. He could have played Telles here, couldn't he? I mean, every position.
I would have played Mata 100% in this game.
Yeah.
If you're looking for if you want cool heads, and you don't want to mess up a 6-2 aggregate lead, obviously play Mata. I can't believe he's not starting. I don't know.
The only players who are
ridiculous.
The only players who you could argue aren't first choice are De Gea, because Henderson's probably got the league games, maybe at least the majority, and Van der Beek, who's playing ahead of Rashford.
And Bailly.
Oh, Bailly, of course, yeah. Okay.
So 3.
Yeah, 3.
They rested 3 players and they play 3 games in 6 days.
And the fact that Bailly plays tonight means that he might not play against Villa, so they might arrest other players. I mean, I don't. What are they going to do? Let's just go back to the Legamane graphic. How do you read this then? Because I look at it and think, well, the weakest team is surely going to be Villa, isn't it? What do you think?
Yeah, and well, it obviously is. I mean, the other 2 games they've got are tricky, right? So you think the rest are going to come at Villa?
Well, I guess so. I mean, they've got to not lose against Leicester and Liverpool. They haven't got to win them. They just don't want to lose them, right? So you've got to think that they've got to show strength in those games. And I don't think they're not going to go for broke, are they? They're going to try and manage those games and keep them tight, I would have thought, because they only need draws to make sure they don't lose any ground to those 2 teams. Liverpool aren't the threat, Leicester are, right? So, I mean, it could all if they lose to Leicester, that's going to make the Liverpool game really tense for them.
Maybe. I mean, Solskjaer's proved tonight he's got no faith in his squad. Maybe he just plays strongest 11 every week, every match, works them to death.
Do you think so? I mean, it's possible, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I would never have thought the team that he played tonight would have played. So no. I don't know anymore. I don't know if Solskjaer's thinking, you're all professional athletes. I could play 2. I could play 3 matches in 6 days. You should all do it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's 4 matches in 7 days.
Yeah, no. 4
I know you can.
7 days.
Surely you can't play Bruno 4 matches in 7 days. Surely not, can he?
I would say no. I would say no, he can't.
Let's face
there's no way Bruno's going to play all 3. But equally, he might.
Yeah, but the key thing here is if they go through tonight, they've got a Europa League final on the 26th of May, right? And when you look at this, that date on the 26th of May is significant because that's only 3 days after the last game of the season, right? So we're not only going to look, with Bruno, you're not only going to look at a rest in one of the next 3 because they're in the space of 5 days. You also got to look at that Wolves fixture away from home. If it was Old Trafford, I think he'd play. Would he play a strong team away at Wolves when he's got the Europa League final 3 days later? Don't know.
Why? And Wolves are safe. United will have either have got I reckon they'll have second sewn up by then, or at least top 4 sewn up. So, no, I mean, imagine if he plays Bruno in this game and then against Villa and then against Leicester, Bruno is out for a month with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, he can't afford to do that, can he?
Like, it's that would just be the worst. Like, any other player, like, I mean, United's squad isn't amazing. Like, it's obviously nowhere near as good as City, but there's no players in that team who I think, like, if they got injured, that would be kind of it, apart from Fernandes. I don't think.
Oh, they can beat Wolves without Fernandes, but
exactly. They could cover if another one of their players had like a little injury, but not him.
So I think we've got to take it that Bruno will get a rest against Villa, right? Because I think they'll need him against Leicester and Liverpool. Surely. I mean, his medical team are going to go, you cannot play a player in 4 games in 7 days, surely.
If he gets subbed early tonight, I'd expect him to start Villa.
Do you? And then what? Start both Liverpool and Leicester? You do?
No.
Right.
Maybe brought on at half time against Leicester.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
just guesswork, isn't it?
It is guesswork, but there is some logic in it, thinking that there isn't surely a medical team in the world or a sports scientist in the world who won't be telling a football manager you cannot play a player in 4 games in the space of 7 days, surely, right? So it's whether or not Solskjaer goes, oh yeah, whatever, I'm playing them, or whether he listens to them. And like you said, if he does get through to the final tonight, which we expect, he would have the wrath of everyone if he played Bruno in those 4 games and he got injured in one of them and was out the Europa League final, you'd think. I don't know. I mean, it's the Villa one, isn't it? United fans will forgive him for resting him against Villa. They'll want him against Liverpool, and I argue they need him against Leicester. So, I don't know. We are guessing, but I guess that's our job, right? We've got to try and speculate, because that's what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. I mean, taking out the kind of like the fixture difficulty and importance and all that kind of stuff, the sensible game to rest him would be the Leicester game.
Yes.
Because it's kind of bang in the middle, right?
Yes.
He'd have played 2 matches. He could play against Roma and then Villa, and then a rest, and then he's back for the big game against Liverpool.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be too surprised if he was started on the bench against Leicester and started Villa. That's my guess, but it's a guess.
And Rashford didn't. He's on the bench tonight.
Yeah, I'm interested in him. Very interested in him now.
Do you think that raises his chances of playing all 3, or he'll play 2 for sure, won't he?
Yeah, and who else do they play out there on the left?
Well, Dan James is injured, isn't he? So
yeah, Dan James is, because I've got Greenwood as well, so I'm hoping he gets a kind of early sub tonight.
Well, I guess they play Van der Beek again. I mean, that's what they're doing tonight, isn't it? Where's he playing? I haven't looked, but yeah.
I don't know. I think Rashford starts against Villa definitely. Now he's benched this game, and he's their strongest player. So if we're going with the importance, I think Rashford has a decent chance of starting all 3. Now he's benched tonight.
Okay. Well, let's look at Man United players first of all. Then this is data over the season and the last 6 game weeks, and it's no real surprise to see when we look at some of these key indicators. This is minutes per chance created, minutes per touch in the box, minutes per shot in the box, and minutes per expected goal involvement non-penalty, that Bruno is the standout. Cavani's at the top there for minutes per XGI non-penalty, but Cavani's not an option. Would you say, is that fair? He'll probably play one of the 3, I would say. Is that how you read it?
I think he's an option.
Do you? You think he could get 2, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I think any of them are, to be honest, because I think it's just such a lottery who's going to start and who isn't. That, I mean, not knocking your stats, but it's kind of just, I think if you've got a spot as a striker and it's easy to move for Cavani, and maybe you can't afford Fernandes or something, I don't know. I think any of them could do well. Like it's 3 games, right? Like it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm looking at their defence and thinking maybe a defender captain is a good idea, but I don't know. I like Cavani. I think he could be a decent punt this week, actually.
I think what's interesting is that even if you consider that, okay, we can't guarantee that any of them get 3, but I think you can kind of guarantee that you'll get 2 matches out of most of the players at the least, right? Cavani is probably one of the few where that might not be the case, but if you do get 2 fixtures out of Cavani, yeah, he could do really well.
That's what I mean, because the issue of having Cavani normally is you don't know whether he's going to start or not. But if you think he's going to get 2, which I think he will, then suddenly I think he is a good option.
I just think he plays tonight. So the pattern would be play tonight, rest at Villa, play one of Leicester and Liverpool is what I would think. So then he's only going to get one of the 3, if that is true. But it's of course it's speculative, right? I don't think he can play 2 matches close together in a space of I think
he's pretty old, right?
Yeah, nothing wrong with being old, but yeah, I think
for a footballer,
yeah, it's a drawback for a footballer, but yeah, it's yeah, I
not old by normal standards.
No, I see him playing Leicester.
About 30? Was he 35, 36?
Yeah, he might even be younger than that, but yeah, he's 34. I thought he was, but anyway,
he keeps himself fit though, doesn't he?
Oh
really
God,
fit.
yeah.
Like he's like physique wise, he's pretty outrageous.
Wiry, but again, I think he probably starts in the Europa League final. Do you not think? Wise head for the Europa League final, maybe?
Oh yeah, I'd have thought so.
So
yeah, I'd have thought
they'll
so.
want to keep him fresh for that. We can only look at the fixtures and look at the team sheet tonight and speculate. That's all we can do, really. No one's got the answers. But what the data shows is over the season, Bruno with a expected goal involvement every 174.8 minutes. Then you've got Martial, who's not a factor. Then you're going all the way down to Greenwood on 237.7 minutes. So there's a big gap over the season between Bruno and Greenwood and then Rashford. But interestingly, when you go down to the lower table, which is the last 6 game weeks, Bruno's performances, and that kind of narrative that, his data was good, but he just wasn't performing. Well, this shows otherwise. His minutes per expected goal involvement non-penalty goes down to 287.2 over the last 6 game weeks. And Greenwood is right up there, 158.2. So do you think that obviously the safe and the sensible pick is Fernandes? But do you think that if you went Greenwood, you can be confident that you've got someone who could be just as effective over these 3 matches?
What a question. Well, do you know how many attacking returns Bruno's had in 8 weeks? That's a question for you. Put you on the spot.
2?
2, correct. Yeah, one goal, 1 assist. So he's the highest scoring player in the game. But this chart shows that he's really not as he was at the beginning of the season, and so do those goal involvements. So I'm looking at a double up of Greenwood and Rashford, and thinking I'm kind of relatively happy with that. It would also mean that I'd have more money to, because let's not forget there are other good double game weeks, right? Like I like the look of Everton's double game week with Villa and Southampton, is it?
Yeah, we're going to look at their players in a bit. So
yeah. So, if I go all out to get Fernandes in, that means that I'm not going to be able to go for the likes of Calvert-Lewin or Dean or Sigurdsson or whoever, whatever player I want. But I can't shake the feeling that ignoring Fernandes, the highest point scoring in the game for captaincy in a triple game week, is suicide.
I am in exactly the same position because I had very clear plans on what I was going to do this week.
Sorry, West Ham Villa for Everton.
Yeah. Before the treble, I was going to get Dino in for Alonso, and I was considering, if Zaha was fit, going Son to Zaha and even putting the captaincy on Zaha, which sounds mad, but that's what I was thinking. Now, that was before Liverpool got the double, of course. Right now, Liverpool got the double. It probably will be on Salah. But I'm still thinking there's 2 schools of thought there, isn't it? Right? There's one, like you said, that surely it's crazy with the potential for 3 matches to not look at Bruno and captain him. But the other school of thought is, like you said, do you let this treble, which probably will be a double for most of the players, completely destroy your plans and blinker you to the potential of the double game players? And that's a dilemma, isn't it?
It is. I mean, the thing is, though, don't forget that they go straight into a blank as well.
Totally.
So, again, it's this kind of like looking at it of, if you just look at 35, obviously it's get as many United players in as possible. But when I actually look at my team and my spreadsheet, if Holding isn't playing, I've got Keenan Davis, I've got some issues. And, if I go 3 United players, it's giving me even more issues, really. So what I could do is just go for Rashford and do Davis to Calvert-Lewin. That gets me in Calvert-Lewin, who I was going to captain before this announcement anyway. Gets me in, I mean, not just another fixture, but one of the best fixtures The best fixture, Sheffield United, straight into Sheffield United at home. So it's just what damage can Fernandes do to me in that? We talk about effective ownership, and there is, obviously there's still a bit of fear that comes. I don't want to get him just because of that fear.
No,
but
no,
he's gonna hurt. Like, it's gonna hurt if he scores, and I haven't got him because he's surely going to be the most ever captain player in FPL history this week.
You'd think, wouldn't you? But like I said, though, that also presents an opportunity, because when going back to the whole EO argument,
absolutely,
when you know that the player base is going to be massively skewed towards one player, there is also an opportunity to go against that. And go on.
I was going to say, and a player who isn't in form,
no,
and is being flogged after death, playing tonight.
Yeah, and a player who's got a Europa League final coming up, who blanks in 36, who could miss game week 38 if they rest players in that game as well. So there's all kinds of reasons why. I mean, I haven't got any United players, so hence I wasn't planning on getting them in. And I was really worried that I wouldn't have a captain. But of course, when Liverpool dropped the double in, it gives me an option, right? But the United treble changes things, right? Makes me think that, like you said, surely I'm crazy not to be looking at United players. But I'm currently thinking I'm not going to look at any of them. I might get a defender. Yeah, I'm currently thinking I'll just stick to the plan, and it could break my season. But to what degree? Right, that's the thing. It's like, I don't think I'm going to drop outside the 10k in this 1 week if I do it. I don't think I'm going to be like 30, 40 points down unless Bruno gets hat-trick or something. But I can't see it in the game.
That soundbite you had.
I know. I keep giving you these, don't I? But I just think this is an opportunity as well. It's like how many people are going to be on Salah when he actually is a good captain? If United didn't have a treble, you'd be looking at Salah.
They'll be playing a knackered United, right?
Well, yeah.
You'd have thought.
Well, I mean, if you go back to Lega Mane's graphic, look at the rest that they've got going into Southampton, and then they've got a really decent rest going into United. So Liverpool will be fresh going into that game. United will be potentially flogged. And Liverpool need to win it, right? So they're going to go all out. So Liverpool aren't going to go there and not think we've got to win this game, we've got to score goals. They're going to try and play and score goals, right? So they'll try and make it an attacking game. United will be doing the opposite, I imagine. I don't think United will want to trade blows after the programme they've got. So, yeah, Salah's an opportunity, right, straight away. And I think that, like you said, Calvert-Lewin and Dina and Zaha, these are all good players with good fixtures. The thing about Zaha, of course, is going back to Ben's, I'm chopping and changing. Ben's graphic shows that, they've got Sheffield United and Southampton, good fixtures, and then they go into Villa and Arsenal at home, which are decent fixtures. It's just Palace are awful, and Zaha could be injured, so there's definitely caveats. So I'm not decided yet, but there are two schools of thought. This is an opportunity to go in hard and cash in on the treble, or conversely, it's an opportunity to not take your eye off the ball and stick to a plan and go against it.
Yeah, I like what Soul Deep said in the chat. Going all in on United and ignoring United both seem bad moves.
Yeah, so maybe the partial investment. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm probably going to go in. I'm going to ignore Bruno. I think I want to get Calvert-Lewin in. I want him for that Sheffield United and that Wolves game. So I think I'm going to go in with 2 United, which will be Greenwood and Rashford. And I think that's okay.
And does that mean?
And I'll probably captain Rashford now as well.
Does that mean a hit for 36 though, in any way to get 11 out?
Oh, do you know what? I haven't even updated my spreadsheet.
Oh, you're doing a spreadsheet. Oh yeah, took my advice on that.
Article. I write that bloody article for Fantasy Scout. I was up till midnight, and wrote the article, submitted it, all good, and then 24 hours later, triple game week, and the whole thing's meaningless.
I know. Yeah.
Not fair.
Rip it up and start again.
Yeah.
I guess you spent another night doing a revised version, did you? No?
I'm not as committed as you.
Ridiculous. Because for me, every United player I get in, that's a hit I've got to spend in game week 36. So if I go in with Maguire, I can't get 11 out in 36. If I go in with Fernandes, I can't get 11 out in 36. And going in with Fernandes means I'd have to sell him. I can't have him on my bench. So I'd have to take a hit to sell him. I mean, I could go back to Son or wherever I choose to transfer out. I could get anyone, I imagine. But it's still a hit. So I'll be taking a hit this week because I've got to get rid of Alonso, right? So I could go Alonso to Maguire for free and then leave it at that. But I really wanted Dina. So if I want Dina in, I've got to take a hit to get a United player. And then I've got to take another hit because I've got that United player.
Yeah,
so it's starting to not make sense. Unless you can say to me that United player will play 3 games. And even Maguire, he played tonight. I don't even know if he's going to play 3 now. Don't know.
I know. It's almost like a kind of insurance, though, isn't it? You take out like a team like Man United with a triple game week. Like just think about the defence. Imagine if they just somehow got 3 clean sheets, and like Maguire or Henderson and stuff, they get like 30 points.
Oh, don't say that.
Like I know it's unlikely.
It could happen.
No, the fixtures are quite tough, but you know, imagine Maguire gets a goal in the first game and then gets 2 clean sheets. Isn't that 9 bonus, goal, 2 clean sheets, appearance points?
While we're here,
let's
look at the attacking data of the teams as they play over the last 4. Let's just focus on the bottom table. So over the last 4, Liverpool are the best attacking team, right, in terms of minutes per XG. Right. So I think a minutes per chance, 4.6 minutes per chance over their last 4 matches. I think a clean sheet against Liverpool is unlikely. Leicester, okay, they're down in 6th in our table. A chance every 5.3 minutes, pretty strong. Yeah, very strong. And minutes per XG, 55.9. Again, it would seem, based on the recent data and the fact that Iheanacho is in great form, you'd back Leicester to score, wouldn't you? Villa, not far behind Leicester. Look, they're 7th in the table. So the 3 teams that they're playing are all in the top 7 in terms of minutes per XG over the last 4 matches. So it would go against the data to suggest that their opponents wouldn't score, I would say. But it's possible because United will, I think, go into all 3 games going, we've got to preserve energy. We're not going to, they're not going to be playing in a kind of swashbuckling style, are they? Certainly not in game 2 and 3. I wouldn't have thought. They're going to be managing them and keeping things tight and make it, try and control the ball, control possession, I think. You presume, don't you? They're not going to go, right, let's go hell for leather and, press high up the field, and they've got to need to preserve energy.
They could get drawn into it, right?
Yeah.
Especially against Leicester and Liverpool. If they're playing high intensity, they're not going to be able to just sit back. A lot of it, I think, the Villa game would be a lot better for us as FPL managers if it was sandwiched in between the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that it's that one first and then 2 really tough games. But I mean, maybe Leicester are going to be fairly happy to get a point at United as well. It's going to be a really boring game.
They've got to win it, Leicester, haven't they? The gap's bigger.
Get top 4.
No, but they want to seal 3rd place, and they'll even want to chase United. You'd think they've got to see this as an opportunity.
I think they'd take a point against United. I think.
Yeah, maybe you're right. If they can afford to, I guess. But no one wants to finish 4th because of the whole Europa League situation. Well, Leicester certainly don't, because they're out. They could be out of the equation if everything goes against them. So it's a real conundrum. But the data shows that
that's not true, is it?
I think if what was the Europa League outcome that would threaten 4th place qualify for Europe? There is one, and I think it's still on, isn't it?
I thought they changed that.
No, it's still it's still the case. I think that if there's I don't know how it works, but if one of the English teams who are in the top 4 win the Europa League as well, I can't think. Someone in the chat will tell us, but there is definitely a outcome which would mean.
Well, it happened to Spurs, didn't it? Years ago, they finished 4th, and was it Chelsea who won? No, they won the Champions League. It was when they won the Champions League, I think, and then they got in. I thought
no, it's definitely on that 4th place
okay.
could if the outcome of the Europa League. I think Arsenal need to win Europa League.
No, there's no way
and
Arsenal's
Chelsea
going to win the Europa League.
Well, one game, isn't it? I don't know what the score is tonight, but
the chat's divided. They're
Is
saying, some people are saying I'm right, some people are saying you're right.
I think Leicester will want to win that game at Old Trafford. I don't think they'll go there and play for a point. But regardless, the data suggests that all 3 teams United playing, based on their last 4 matches, are in decent form. right? So I'm not sure we can bank on clean sheets. But you're absolutely right. If United get a couple of clean sheets and we don't have United defenders, it's going to hurt. But equally, we're going to have double game week players instead of United players. Right? We're not going to have single game week defenders. So, you could say that Dina, with the fixtures that he's got, I think it's Villa and West Ham, could get a clean sheet or two or an assist and so cover that anyway. It's just we're blinded by this 3 matches and we it's very difficult to resist it.
Is Henderson the one to get? Is it best just to go in goal and just get Henderson? He's going to play 3.
People have said that today, haven't they? Yeah, about that.
But then it means losing Mendy or Martinez probably, who's got a double.
And it's that game week 36 issue.
And then doesn't have a game. Yeah,
Mendy doesn't have a game, so you'd have to lose Mendy, and hope you could only do it if you've got a keeper who plays in 36.
Yeah,
and Ralph has come out and kind of give a vague puzzle about who he's going to play in the Southampton goal just to confuse things. Have you seen that? I'm going to play McCarthy in 2, Forster in 2. Who plays the first one? I'm not going to tell you. It's like, what are you doing with us? What are you doing?
Not.
Not.
I just need Forster to play in that in 36. I haven't got a keeper. I'm not taking a hit for one.
I'd seen some reports saying that he'd actually said that McCarthy's going to play the next 2, and then today I saw Ralph being a bit more vague about it. So there's uncertainty.
God's sake.
Anyway, talking to keepers, let's look at the double game week players, and I've highlighted United players in all these tables. Obviously, with the treble fixtures, they're going to be the apples of our eye. But in terms of a keeper, if you were wildcarding or free hitting at this point, presumably you look at Martinez, who's top of these tables are all sorted by minutes per point. Would you look at Martinez?
No.
Would you not?
I don't think so. I think I'd get Henderson at this point. I'd get Henderson, and I'd probably get in someone like Sanchez, like you've got, to pair with him. I mean, Henderson's pretty cheap. I think it's only 5.2.
5.2, yeah.
So he's less than Martinez. If you've still got Martinez, then fair enough. But if you're free hitting, I think it's you get Henderson, because I think he's your most likely player to get 3 matches.
Yeah.
Then he's got the blank, but then it's Fulham and Wolves at the end of the season. So I'd probably expect a couple of clean sheets in those as well. So yeah, it'd be Henderson for me.
So you get Henderson and make sure you get cover for 36 if you're wild carding, of course.
Yeah. Just I think Sanchez is. I can't remember who Brighton have got, but
I'll show you.
4.6. They've got West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham in that game. But Brighton's fixtures are pretty awful. This is the ticker sorted by overall. Let's go to the ticker sorted by clean sheets. Brighton are right down there on the defensive data on the ticker. So you if you're wildcarding, you'd need that first choice keeper to play all your matches basically, other than 36, I guess. But yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, yeah, Henderson. Do you think Henderson's first choice then, as I alluded to earlier? Yeah, it seems that way. Yep.
Yeah, I think he's De Gea has been another strange season from him, where he's made mistakes, and they gave Henderson £100,000 a week contract at the start of the season. You don't just give him that contract and then you don't give that to a reserve goalkeeper. You give that to a player and say, right, bloody earn first choice, and he hasn't done anything wrong. Since he's been in the team, he's been brilliant. So I think he carries on. I think he's earned it, and De Gea's playing tonight, and by all accounts playing quite well. But I think Henderson sees out the season and starts in the final as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are elements of De Gea's game, shot stopping in particular, you don't question, but it's just been his bravery in recent matches. He really does shy away from 50-50s and any challenges where the potential to be hurt. A couple of times they've conceded goals and you think De Gea should have gone with that full-blooded, and he hasn't. And so I think
I really like him. I think he's an absolutely excellent goalkeeper. I'd love to see him start for England. I think it's probably going to stay as Pickford, but it shouldn't be. I think Henderson would now he's in the team for United, he'd be my choice.
We're going to show a free hit team after this, but we're going to go to the defenders next. And as you've picked the free hit team, we're going to talk through. But so you've presumably got some favourites in this list of defenders as well. Again, sorted by minutes per point. Shaw, Wan-Bissaka as United players show up well in this, mid-table. Shaw certainly the standout, but presumably he is going to miss one of the 3 games having played tonight. Tellez surely comes in for one of them. Do you see that?
Yeah, must do. And I mean, Shaw's another player who's had injury problems, hasn't he? So they're the kind of ones I'm looking at and thinking, oh, you don't really want to play Shaw in all 3 games. And also, I would say along with Fernandes, he's their most important player just because of how, I mean, his chances created this season. You know, I think we talked about it last week, being on level with Messi or something. You know, he's just been absolutely outstanding. So they can't afford to lose him. They can't afford to lose Wan-Bissaka on the right, because who the hell do they play on the right if he's out for a while? So I would be amazed if Shaw and Wan-Bissaka played all 3.
Right, so you see Wan-Bissaka missing one of the games.
Yeah,
well.
definitely. I think so. Yeah, I think that he can't play all 3. Those fullback positions are too important for them.
Right. So we'll play a centre back at fullback, I guess, unless Williams moves across. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I mean, on this list, I mean, the names that leap out for me, obviously the Chelsea defenders we know about, but they don't play in 36. So it leaves you looking at Liverpool, doesn't it? And if you don't have Trent, it looks to be a no-brainer. I mean, arguably, if you don't have Trent, you'd look to him over a United defender, given that they play in 36. Would you concur
I think
with
Trent's a must. I said it in the FPL show last week. I think you gotta have him. I still believe in him. I still believe he's going to hit a massive haul before now the end of the season, and it could well be this double game week. So yeah, I'm fully on board with him. And Dean as well. I mean, Dean's hurt both of us this season.
Yeah,
you know, it feels like we're going back to, you know, a horrible X or something. But I do really like him, and you know, he got an assist and got all 3 bonus in a 1-1 draw. So
I know, I couldn't believe that. I mean, obviously he set up a couple of big chances, and that's where it came from. I was expecting more bonus from Calvert-Lewin. I only got the 1 point, and Dina nicked him with a 3. It shows you what he can do, doesn't it? I mean, in a clean sheet scenario, surely his bonus is in his back pocket, isn't it? And that's the thing. If he takes a couple of, and that's the thing. He was taking corners with James out, so you can't count on that when James plays. So he's perhaps less productive in terms of BPS when James is there, but he's still tempting for me. So out of this table here, yeah, Trent is a must for me. Dina is a player I really want. I guess you look at one United defender, and that would be Maguire, who's low down in terms of minutes per point. He's below Lindelof, he's below Telles, Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, so he doesn't have perhaps the appeal of the others in terms of attacking output, but he's probably the most certain to play all 3, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, still, even though he played tonight. But Castagna is, I know, a player you like as well, and he's in this table, 21.8 minutes per point. And, you know, you forgive some of Leicester's defensive indiscretions and still want
God,
him.
I mean, Jesus, I mean, play against Southampton and Southampton go down to 10 men. And I'm thinking, it's a nice clean sheet. I was thinking, okay, that's my clean sheet locked in for Castagna, and now I'm really worried about Vardy going mad. And they bloody score Southampton a few minutes later. You know, it was pretty stupid. I like Castagna, but like we've talked about, when he's on the right. So Pereira, I think will come in at some point, and that will make Castagna a less a less good option. But I don't think you have to worry about him starting. He'll either start on the right or on the left, where he's a bit less effective. But yeah, then they have that blank, don't they? But
well, that's it. You know, Leicester investments are not going to see you right in 36. So if you're in the same situation as me, every time you bring one of these players in, you're reducing your 11, or you're taking a hit in 36.
Okay. Just while we're on that match, I don't like. It's not that I don't like VAR. I don't like the way VAR operates, and I talk about that a lot. And some people agree with me, some people don't, or whatever. But how is it that they can just keep getting these things so wrong, like that red card for Vestergaard, and then they appeal it, and then it gets overturned? Do you think it's to do with the slow motion thing, that they're looking at everything in slow motion and it's making things look worse, and they need better training on that to actually, be able to analyse slow motion footage better? What is the point? What is the point of having this where these decisions are still wrong? It's ruining the game, and then they're just getting overturned at the game when the game ends anyway.
I think the reason why they're not overturned is because when the referee on the pitch sees the incident clearly and makes a decision, it puts the VAR official in a very difficult spot. They're effectively saying, no, you're wrong. You had a good sight of it and you called it wrong. And I think there's a general reluctance, depending on who that VAR official is. Some of them are strong enough to go, or maybe, Yeah, they're doing their job correctly, so I can't criticise them for doing it. But some of them are willing to make a colleague and put them aside and say, no, sorry, mate, you're wrong. You got that completely wrong, which is what they should be doing, right? But I think there's a reluctance to do that. That's the only explanation I can give, because everyone else who viewed that incident went, well, that's not really a red, is it? That's a yellow at best.
But it is when you slow it down, right? Or it looks worse, because as soon as you start slowing down footage, you're trying to spot something to make it something else. That's the way I look at it. Yeah, so they're looking it back over and over and over again to see, and trying to determine intention, or trying to determine, where his foot's actually landed, and all this stuff. And the more you look at something like that, the more it fits into whatever narrative that you've got, because you're not looking at something and trying to prove the negative effects of it, because that's not kind of human nature to do that. I think they look at slow motion replays to kind of almost prove that it is a deliberate or a nastier foul, and that's what sways them, and that's what says. And that's why I talk about maybe having more training, or learning, looking at different like videos of slow motion footages which have an objective right or wrong answer. I know that's not easy, but the correct call in a way, and seeing if referees can get it right or get it wrong. I'd be interested to know, because I don't think they'd do well at all.
I would agree with you, except the red card was not given for reckless tackle. What we call it, dangerous tackle, whatever the term is for violent conduct. That's it. It was given for denying a goal scoring opportunity. So the studs on the ankle of Vardy had no impact on the decision. If it was given for denying a goal scoring opportunity, they presumably felt that Vardy was either going to get to the ball or Vestergaard didn't touch the ball. It can't have been the latter. They surely would have seen the touch from Vestergaard. So they presumed that Vestergaard followed through to deny Vardy the opportunity to get to the ball, thinking that had he not done that, McCarthy would have not got to the ball before Vardy, and Vardy would have scored. I don't
so this
know
is when they get the lines out and the graphs.
No,
and
I don't think they do.
And all this stuff. You don't?
No, I don't think they do. And they confirmed that on the night. I think they confirmed it at half time that that's what it was given for, which means that the studs on the ankle has nothing to do with the challenge. The ferocity of that challenge had nothing to do with it. The fact that he stopped him and brought him down with the follow through, that's all that matters. And then it's down to, would he have got the ball before McCarthy? I don't think how you can watch that and think. So I just think, again, they went, the referee had a really good view of that and he's given it, and we're not really confident enough to turn it around, I think.
But I think, I don't want to keep going on about this, but I just don't understand how we can all be watching the same game as these referees. And I can be watching it on TV and see it, and then see a replay and go, well, that's obviously not a red card. And then they analyse it for another 5 minutes and then come to the wrong decision, and then it gets rescinded anyway.
But it's hard,
because
right?
it's the wrong decision.
I think you've got one man sitting at Stockley Park having to make that call and saying to the world that referee got it completely wrong, having had a clear view. I think that's a very pressurised situation. They need better training, and I don't know what the directives are.
But why should they have to prove it? It's supposed to be clear and obvious. If they're having to spend 5 minutes debating a decision, then it's not clear and obvious, so go with the referee. This is the whole thing that I hate about VAR, is that they spend so much time making these decisions and they're wrong because they've spent so much time over-analysing whatever footage they've seen, when it's clear to everyone watching within about 30 seconds what the right decision should be.
One thing's for sure, a lot of fantasy football pods have had moments like we just had where you start moaning about VAR this season. It's been mentioned and talked about on Match of the Day, on every football show, far more than we'd like, isn't it? I just hope it gets less attention.
It's a shambles. I think it's an absolute shambles at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's look at of this list here of the players that play doubles and then play in 36. So that's Villa, Palace, Everton. Who's the other one? Villa, Palace, Everton, and help me out. Let's go back to the ticker. Villa, Palace, Everton, and Liverpool, of course. Yes. Liverpool. Who would you pick out their defenders? I mean, would you go a Villa defender now? They were popular before Liverpool dropped in.
No, I don't like Villa defence at the moment, and I don't really know what's kind of gone so massively wrong with them. It's like Grealish has left, and ever since Grealish has left, they're conceding almost every game. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't go anywhere near their defence, to be honest.
And Southampton.
The only player I like from Villa is Watkins.
Yeah. Southampton is the other team that plays in 36 and doubles.
Definitely not going in there anywhere.
And there's not even a Southampton defender in this list, I don't think. That shows you how minutes per point they've been struggling.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, it's Liverpool or... Yeah, that's about it, really, in terms of Liverpool or Dina, effectively, isn't it? If you want a defender that doubles and plays in 36, it's Liverpool or Dina.
Yeah, I think Trent and Dean's fine.
Yeah,
I think if you've got those two, you've got a good solid defence for this week and next.
So midfielders, Jota at the top of the table in terms of minutes per point amongst the double game week players. Fernandes on the same though, 12.8. And then Rashford's up there. He's the man that you've been talking about tonight. So Rashford is high. He's higher than Greenwood at 16.9 over the season. So I can see why you've got him in the conversation if you're not going to go Fernandes. And he'll be on penalties in the match that Fernandes doesn't play, of course, as well.
If he plays.
if he plays that game as well, yeah.
Yeah.
There are some other options here, though, if you want a player who doubles and plays in 36. El Ghazi, talk to me about him. What's your thoughts on him?
I like him as a player, but I've never really considered him as an actual FPL player. I think he's one of these guys who's got massive potential and always looks really good when I watch the game, but never really gets up into that kind of top bracket of someone that I kind of consider. But if you're not looking at Watkins, then he's the best option to go for. I had no idea he was going to come out this highly on this table.
13.5 minutes per point. So when he plays, he produces points at a very good rate indeed.
Yeah, and I mean 8 goals is a good return for a 5.2 million
excellent
midfielder.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hadn't considered him. But
and he's on penalties with Grealish not about. He's on penalties, but arguably where Grealish is about as well. So
he's a good shout, Mark. I like him. Hadn't thought about him.
Yeah, I think that.
And if you need Bruno money. Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is, this is what I mean. We shouldn't be blinded by the United options to the fact there are still good players out there. And the other name that I would pick out, who's further down the list, is Zaha, of course. Minutes per point, 17.7. Now, I don't know what the news is going to be from Hodgson tomorrow. Zaha felt a groin injury in the game at the weekend against City and was very ineffective. It didn't. I mean, I used it as a scouting mission, and at the end of it, I thought, well, Palace are awful, Zaha ineffectual. Why would I go there? But it's the fixtures: Sheffield United and Southampton, both away from home in 35. But Palace and Zaha are a lot stronger away from home. Zaha's got 6 goals in 12 games away from home against teams outside the top 6 this season. So he has done well against the non-big 6 away from home. He's been very strong. So you back him. If you think Palace will score at Sheffield United, which, let's face it, is fairly likely, and could score against Southampton, you back it. And what's attractive about Zaha is that he plays in 36 as well. And if we look at the attacking ticker, Palace are up there third. If you look at the game weeks from now until the end of the season, with their double in 35, their fixture in 36 at home to Villa, 37 Arsenal, and 38 Liverpool away. But anything could happen in the final day. So Zaha is someone who appeals to me before even the treble was announced, and maybe still. What's your thoughts on him?
I can't say anything more than you've said. I really like him. I think if he was 100% fit, he would be one of the first names that I'd be considering this week. Any team with a double, and one of those doubles is Sheffield United, I think is a great pick. The fact the other double is Southampton, those are games Palace should score in, and he's going to be involved, I would have thought, if he plays. So it's a shame he's picked up this groin injury, because it kind of does put me off a bit. Especially, I know groin injuries. I mean, not amazingly well,
intimately.
But I said that, and I was like, I'm definitely going to get called out for this. Yeah, let's not go there. But groin injuries are nasty, right? They niggle. They don't just clear up after a week or a couple of weeks or something. They tend to hang around for a little while. So it could be that the double is, even if he is fit, he only plays one of them, because then he's rested for the other. So I actually think he's a bit too much of a risk to get.
Unless Hodgson says he's got a clean bill of health, he hasn't felt it. Because otherwise, he can strike a ball in one of those games and then be off and then miss the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know it's such a shame, because if he was 100% fit, I'd even look to him for the captaincy as a real good differential captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're absolutely right about the nature of the injury. There is another thing that puts me off. We go back.
Bendinery.
Yeah, well, expert on the injury. I mean, you know groins intimately. I'm not sure if Ben does. So we probably not go there. Looking at attacking data, look at Palace here. Over the season now, they are the worst team in the league for minutes per XG over the season. And then you go, oh, they might not be over the last 4. Yeah, no, they're not, but they're second worst to Sheffield United. So there is no question that the Crystal Palace attack is absolutely dreadful. Other than Zaha, I guess.
Jesus, I tell you, it's a hell of a job. Whoever, I mean, surely Hodgson isn't going to do the rebuilding of Palace because, I mean, you know, have you seen their players out of contract? I think it's at the end of next season. Like half the squad is out of contract. So I wonder who's gonna be around. And they need. Hodgson is an absolutely incredible manager, but I don't think he's got the energy, has he, to oversee a full Premier League rebuild that they obviously need. Because they've got to turn this around. And yeah, I wonder who they're going to bring in. But I mean, it doesn't surprise me, and I think it's a testament to how well Hodgson's done in his time, because they shouldn't be comfortable. I don't think. I look at their team and their squad, and you know, you take out Zaha, and it just looks like such a below average squad to me. But they never seem to have any real issues with staying up. And every year I tip them to go down, and every year I'm disappointed they manage to stay up because I hate them. But they do, and I like Hodgson, so fair play to him. But no, I mean, this doesn't surprise me. I expect them to lose every match, and they don't.
No, that's true. And they haven't even had. I wouldn't have said Zaha has been at the peak of his powers by any means this season. No. So he's had his star player kind of treading water at times and struggling with injuries. He's had a defence, which they've also had injuries in defence. I mean, Cahill, Tompkins, they've missed them
when they
most
started
of the season.
And like Coyote and
well, Coyote's been there most of the season, hasn't he?
I know, he's been amazing. He's been absolutely incredible. I mean, what was their first back when the first game? They had like Mitchell, they had Coyote, and who was their other centre back? I think it was someone else.
Well, Scott Dan, I expect, wasn't it? Scott Dan's played. I mean, Scott Dan doesn't look like a Premier League player, but it managed to patch him up and get him out there and do a job. He's done brilliantly. But again, I don't like back in Palace, and even if it is Zaha fully fit, I worry about it. I don't know. I might still be prepared to do it because it is Sheffield United and it is Southampton, who haven't got much to play for as well. Nothing to play for, arguably, as well. Let's look at the forwards. There's not much to pick from for forwards, is there? If you're looking for double game week players. So if you're building your free hit, if you're doing a wild card, it's really Iheanacho for sure, Calvert-Lewin probably, Watkins probably. It's names that we've had and we've circled all season effectively. There's no one on this list here that we've got in front of us, sorted by minutes per point again, which leaps out as somebody new that you would go with. We've talked about Cavani because with the treble, but I don't think he'll get more than one game myself. But is there anything there?
Kane? Would you drop Kane for one of these guys?
No, I wouldn't. I think that Leeds without Phillips, which it could be again, even though Leeds have been strong defensively, I think when Phillips doesn't play, there's vulnerabilities there. He affects the attack and the defence. And I think Mason's obviously playing attacking football. They could get a couple of goals at Leeds, and I'm tipping them to do that. So I wouldn't sell Kane because I don't think the other options that we've got here are that convincing. Obviously, I like Iheanacho. I like Calvert-Lewin. Watkins is in fine form in terms of return. I think he's returned in the last 4. But he's not. I don't think he's got a big return coming anytime soon. Whereas Kane could have.
13 goals is
done well.
An unbelievable return for Watkins. I mean, if Brighton had a striker that could get us 13 goals, it would be incredible. I mean, same amount of goals as like Lacazette, Vardy.
Yeah, and you've got to think he kicks on next year, right?
Yeah, I think he's a really, really talented player. I think he's excellent. He's now kind of in and around the England squad as well, which is great. I think he doesn't. I remember when Lee posted about him not being a very good player, and I just thought, what? Like, he seems to just bring so much to the team. If I was a manager, he'd be exactly the kind of striker that I'd want. He's a player who can get you this many goals. 13 goals is an incredible debut season. He's a player who brings energy to like every match he plays, leads the line so effectively, brings other players into the game. perfect. I think he's top player.
Yeah, I mean, he's one we're going to be looking at next season. You know, hopefully Villa keep Grealish as well. I mean, I don't really want Grealish to leave. I like him at Villa. I like him as a player there. So I want him to remain there and be a really strong option for us next season, because that will make Watkins a better player too, obviously.
No chance.
No, I don't think so either.
I live in the real world, not the fantasy world.
So yeah, I just can't see that happening. But you know, yeah, Watkins is. But I still think that I would rather have. I mean, I've got Kane, Iheanacho, and Calvert-Lewin. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, I would be.
And I think that if I was wildcarding, I would be reluctant to look beyond those three, to be honest. So yeah. Let's look at the team that you put together then. So if you're free hitting, or even if you're wildcarding, I guess, but certainly if you're free hitting, have a look at this. Talk us through this then, Az.
Yeah, I mean, I put this together and I thought, oh my God, I wish I had a free hit, because that really would make my life a lot easier. So I put Henderson in goal with Forster. I then went for a back three of Dina, Alexander-Arnold and Castagna, and then just Mitchell and strikers, bench fodder. Salah, Aubameyang, who we haven't really talked about, but I think could be, he's got that West Brom game. And Lacazette's back on the bench now. When I put this together, I wasn't sure about his availability. But, if Aubameyang's going to be up front against West Brom, then this might be worth thinking about. Fernandes, Greenwood, Zaha. So 5 in midfield. Taking that punt on Zaha in the end. And then Iheanacho and Calvert-Lewin up front with Davis. So no Kane. I do think if you're free hitting, then I think you attack the double.
Oh, yeah. You don't go with Kane or Son if you're free hitting. Or Lingard or players like that, I don't think. I think you can afford to overlook them. If you're wildcarding, you probably have to be, well, you do have to be more mindful of game week 36 and beyond, of course. And that's where getting rid of Kane is a lot more difficult, I think. Maybe not Lingard.
But yeah, they'd be my three. If I was going to pick 3 United, I'd pick Henderson, Fernandes and Greenwood. I think you've got Henderson there just for, just to mop up any clean sheets that they do manage to get, and she'll get some save points. And I think he'll play all 3. And then you've got Fernandes and Greenwood for potential. I do like the look of Maguire. I think Lindelof is an option. I mean, he missed out today as well. I think Rashford is good. I think there's, and Cavani. I think that there are options in the team, but you can only have 3. So if I'm free hitting, I think they're the ones that I'd take. Yeah,
Lindelof missing out tonight is interesting actually, because I guess he could be filling in at right back.
Well, Cody to Lindelof, for example, about the same price.
Yeah, and I hadn't.
Cody's useless.
You're down on Cody. He's so good at post match that I can't knock him. He's so funny post match. But yeah, Lindelof, having not played tonight, suddenly does appeal to me, whereas before he didn't. And I will talk about that when we look at my team, because he opens up options if you can go Lindelof. Okay, let's look at chip strategies then. Having discussed that that's a free hit team that you put together, it is. We haven't got any chips between us, right? So
did you like it, by the way?
I did. Very strong. I like the Aubameyang pick. Did you just put him in to make me say him, or was there other motives behind it?
You nailed it. You nailed it, to be fair. Yeah.
But Aubameyang, then you just think because, he's captain, right? So he's going to play whether he plays on the left or up front. And the West Brom game.
He's a player who I don't think many people will have or want to get, especially with the United news. No one's going to be thinking, I need to get in Aubameyang for this game week. So his ownership's 7%. He's barely going to have anyone in. The Chelsea game is a bit of a kind of lottery. You're not expecting huge things, but West Brom at home in that first game, he could get a hat trick in that. Yeah. You wouldn't be too surprised. Yeah. So I just think he might be someone that a bit left field.
And the thing is, with the free hit, you've got to have 1 or 2 in there that are a bit exactly. Because if you go
that's
with
why Zaha or Aubameyang,
yeah. I think that's what you got to look for. You don't have to go mad with it, but 1 or 2 strong differentials. And the thing is with Aubameyang, he is an explosive differential. Yeah, like Bale last week, as we saw. There aren't many players who can get you a differential and get you hat tricks, and Aubameyang certainly fits that bracket, right? So absolute logic behind it. So these. I mean, I was just thinking today about whether if I had the chips and what the various combinations of chips, what I do. Given the situation we're now presented with. So we'll talk through this and see if you agree. These are by no means optimum. You love that, optimal FPL strategies. I'm sure there is an optimal. Sure there is. Just saying this to wind us up. But
working.
these are strategies that I haven't given it some thought. I think make some sense. So if I had the free hit, I would play in 35, or depending if I had some United players already, I'd dead end another one in, or even two in with a hit, and then play the free hit in 36 to get you through that game week.
Yep.
You about right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Wild card similar. I'd either play this week to get United players in, or if I had some, maybe one or two, I would dead end another one or two in, or another one in, maybe an obscure one, and then again play the wild card in 36 to get yourself through.
I think I'd probably do that. Depending on how many, I think if you've got sort of 8 or 9 double game week players anyway, and maybe one United, I don't think the wild card this week is that necessary.
No.
You could get in another 2 United players or something, and then hit the wild card in 36.
I mean, I haven't
and attack those final 3 games.
Yeah, I haven't built my team for this double game week at all. I don't think many have. And yeah, I've got 7 double game weekers.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say that most managers would have around that without even trying. So yeah, I think play wildcard in 36 makes the most sense. Bench boost. Yeah, I mean, why would you not play it now? Because I mean, we've spoke about before, the best time to play a bench boost is in double game weeks, because then you've got more chance of your bench players actually being and remaining bench players, right? So I think if you've got the bench boost and only the bench boost, you play it now, don't you?
You've got to. Got to play it this week if you've still got the bench boost. And
triple captain similar, I think. Are you going to get a better option? You're not going to have another double game week. So you
imagine you could hit a 40 point if everything just aligns for you and you've triple captained the United player.
It'd be incredible, because I think you've probably been getting some stick saving it all this time.
Yeah.
People probably, your mates or whoever's in your mini league going, "What are you doing? Why aren't you playing it? The double game weeks are gone." And then there's this one more coming, and you saved it for this, and then a treble drops in. You must be rubbing your hands, right? It's a gift, isn't it? But
and the people with the free hit as well. I mean, I don't think it could be. And I think a lot of people were. I know Andy was a bit annoyed that he'd saved the free hit all this time, and then it looked like Liverpool were going to get that double game week anyway. So everyone was kind of going to gain a few more players. I mean, this is just blown that out of the water. I mean, the free hit is just perfect.
Well, but we have seen. I mean, I've seen firsthand how much the optimism that chips create, how much it can let you down. So I'm not envious of people with chips left. But I'm not kind of thinking it's a done deal by any means. And you can't, I don't think, because the events that happen could really conspire against you. I mean,
I'm very jealous.
I mean, it's possible, right, that your free hit team that you bring in still scores less than the team you had before you free hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the fear, isn't it? It's not likely, you wouldn't have thought, if you've only got like 4 or 5 double game week players. But if you had 6 or 7 already, and then you free hit and you take some of them out for others, or United don't deliver, which is possible, then yeah, it could sting you.
I mean, this is why I like a free hit in the blanks. Really, if you've got multiple cheap chips left, then I think you might prioritise. If you've got like 9 double gaming players in the United and you've got the triple captain and the free hit, like you say here, I think you use the triple captain this week and you free hit next week.
Yeah,
this dead end. The thing with United as well is after the blank, they then got those 2 really good games. So dead ending your team with United players and then free hitting and then getting those United players back in for the last 2 game weeks is really strong.
Yeah. Wildcard and bench boost I've got here. You play the wildcard in 35 and you bench boost in 37. You're obviously not going to bench boost in 36 because you've got players missing. You probably won't have a bench in 36. So. And I don't think you save it for 38. I just think 38's a lottery, isn't it?
Oh, well, I saw it last season. I'd saved my free hit to the final day of the season.
Yeah,
it went absolutely terribly.
I think a free hit's all right. Free hit's okay, but bench boost, you need to get 15 players, right? Ideally.
Surely you bench boost this week, though?
Yeah, but what do you do with the wild card then? Wild card in 36, I guess.
In 36.
Yeah, you could do. So you can reverse that round. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I've said earlier, you bench boost now if you just got
or use it in 35. Because I mean, some of the players who haven't got games, like the likes of Mendy, Chelsea defenders. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with them. for the final games of the season. Don't think the fixtures are that good, and they've got the Champions League final to look forward to and all that kind of stuff. And then Leicester as well.
What you
so you could take out
wild card in 38? Is that what you're talking about? Then?
36.
Yeah, 36. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you bench boost 35.
Bench boost this week.
Yeah.
Wild card, and you either wild card in 36 or 37.
Yeah, that's the alternative approach. I mean, it depends on when all these are based on what your team looks like going into this situation.
Yeah, of course.
Free hit and bench
Lots
boost.
of disclaimers tonight. I like it.
Lots of caveats. Yeah. I mean, there's so many permutations. When I started looking at this, I'm like, well, that could work. That could work. Free hit and bench boost. So dead end Man United assets with hits, bench boost and 35, which is, again, going back to the whole, if you've only got bench boost, you play it in 35. And then you free hit your way out of those dead ends.
That's the optimal one. If you've got free hit and bench boost left, you're going to have a strong end to the season.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Should have. Yeah. And then free hit and triple captain. You triple captain in 35 and free hit in 36. That's pretty straightforward. Isn't it? That one.
Easy.
And then wild card and triple captain. Again, I've gone triple captain 35 and also get dead end United assets into wild card in 36. So that's pretty straightforward as well. So the only one then is the wild card and the bench boost, really. That's the one that's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'll just swap that around. But
yeah. I think the others are kind of pretty solid, those options. So anyway, hopefully, if you've got chips out there, that's helped a bit, but maybe not if it's the wildcard and bench boost you've got. We'll have to see. Right, what are we going to look at next? What was it? It was going to be our predictions, I think. It is. Another poor week for us, really. I got the Spurs score right. Both times I've selected Spurs to win 4-0 against Burnley and Sheffield United. I've got it spot on. So I'm very good at predicting Spurs thrashings, but not much else, sadly. But
I think I beat you this week for the first time in a while.
I think you did. Yep, the gap is 22 points, 32 points rather. So my percentage has gone down.
Percentage outcomes.
Yeah, 48.
Third one down. That's where I want us to be, even or ahead of you a little bit.
For the podcast listener, as is on 45.4% correct outcome, I'm on 48.7.
I'm genuinely quite happy with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like around 50%. I think that's not bad.
You're not going to retire on your gambling winnings on a 45% outcome, are you?
Yeah, but at least I don't look like a complete mug on here. Like, imagine if we were doing this podcast and I had like a 5% prediction rate.
That is always the fear when you do these things, isn't it? That your rank
really
and your predictions are going to be...
Well, you didn't want to do these. You didn't
I
did you?
didn't.
It was me.
I didn't have any info. So we've got a lot of fixtures to get through. We're not going to talk about all of them in detail, but we've put the predictions in. This is just page one, obviously. Let's pick out some low. We're both predicting Leicester win, but I don't think there's too much to talk about there. I think Newcastle will score. You're going with your Castagna pick and your clean sheet there. I've got a Spurs victory at Leeds. I think the Phillips factor will mean that I think Spurs have got a chance of getting a couple of goals there. I do like the Leeds defence, but I just think Phillips is such a big loss if indeed he does miss out. Rafinha, I don't think he'll turn up either, sadly. So, anyway,
can I just say you're wrong again about Brighton v Leeds?
What did I predict?
You said 2-0 Leeds, I think.
Yeah, I did.
And I said to you, there's no way that they will win that game by 2 goals.
I didn't know, but you always beat them in the Championship as well. When you're in the Championship with them, I think they've lost about 6 consecutive games against you now.
Yeah,
I didn't realise you are somewhat of a bogey team if you believe in that kind of thing.
I was just like just like I was earlier in the season. I just sensed that Brighton v Leeds, Brighton just have the upper hand in it.
And yeah, it was interesting. They spoke to, I don't know what Leeds player it was post-match, and they said, the formation really gave us problems. And he said, it's given us problems before. So it's like a puzzle that even Bielsa couldn't solve. And Potter versus Bielsa is a very interesting matchup.
It is.
Both forward-thinking modern managers. I like it.
It's the best I've seen Brighton play all year. And it was actually turned into a win for one of the few times it actually is, because normally Brighton play well and they lose or draw, but to actually win the game comfortably and to play as well as they did was a great result.
I've watched both games and Brighton played well in both. Arguably Brighton's 2 best performances of the season
I think they are.
have come against Leeds. Sheffield United Palace, you've gone 1-0, I've gone the 2. I can't. Yeah, 2-0 to Palace, you've gone 1-0. City Chelsea, I've gone a draw. It's a rehearsal of the Champions League final. Tuchel I like a lot in terms of his pragmatic approach. I see them scoring. And I don't know what kind of team City. I mean, Pep won't want to give too much away, will he? What's that?
They can win it. They can win the league.
With a victory here. Well, do they even need a victory if the results go their way?
I don't know. But I just think Pep's going to want to win it. I think strongest team goes out against Chelsea this weekend. You're
probably right, but then the Champions League situation clouds it a bit because this is a dress rehearsal, and it's like giving Tuchel another kind of look at his.
Well, just battle them 5-0,
and get the psychological advantage.
Yeah, watch them rock up to the Champions League final. Just lost 5-0 a few weeks ago.
Chelsea do not lose.
No, I mean they won't. They won't. But I think he plays the strongest team.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't see it. I think he'll want to keep some cards up his sleeve for the final.
Interesting.
Yeah. Liverpool, Southampton, both gone home wins. You've gone the 2-1. Southampton scoring without Ings. You see that? Maybe if Ings is fit, but
it's more of a lack of trust in Liverpool's defence than
I can see that.
Southampton.
Yeah. I've gone 1-0. Wolves, Brighton. You have gone 2-1 to Brighton. You're on a roll with Brighton, aren't you? Well, Danny Welbeck, what a goal he scored. So, the confidence oozing through Welbeck at the moment. Why not?
The turn and it was so good. It really was. Wolves are terrible. Wolves are genuinely terrible at the moment.
Yeah, we slag them off a lot, don't we, on this show?
Yeah. I mean, Brighton are very good at playing terrible opposition and losing. But I think we'll win this one.
Okay. Villa United, we've gone 2-1. You've gone 2-0. I think that's straightforward. I do think Villa will score. I mean, I'm presuming a weaker United team here. This is why I've gone they've conceded. West Ham, Everton, very tight. We've both gone a draw. Everton's away form has been the thing that's caught the eye this season. I mean, shall we talk about Antonio at this point? What an impact when he comes back.
I know. I love him. I love him so much. He's genuinely one of my favourite players ever. And had no idea he was coming back.
No, that took me completely by surprise. I mean, he hasn't got a double game week, so he's not on the agenda. But
you want a West Ham attacker for those last few games. And I think if you are wildcarding, I think you go Antonio over Lingard now.
Yeah, and I keep going back to the data, but I just want to look at the player data over the season. And Antonio is now top of that table. Minutes per XG, non-penalty, 116.7, the best of any player in the Premier League. And then you look at last 4 game weeks, and Antonio's top of that as well. Obviously with a small amount of sample, but just incredible what he has done this season. If only
Can he stay fit?
No, this is
Can he
it.
Stay fit for those final few games.
He did look super fit against Burnley. He was running and closing down the ball. When he came back last time, and it was almost like Moyes had gone, don't run too much. Just do enough, but not too much. And you could see he was first 3 or 4 games. He was really struggling to get up to speed.
Yeah.
And then, ironically, in the game he looked on it, he got the injury again, didn't he, against Wolves? So, yeah, we can't invest, can we? And it's such a shame.
I think we can.
Do you?
Yeah, I think, for the final 2 or 3 games.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
I like him.
All right. And so Arsenal, West Brom is where we're at. Both gone a home win here. West Brom really is gone now for them, isn't it? So it should be formalities for Arsenal here. It depends on, I guess, the team they play, who turns up on the day. But I've gone a 3-1. You've gone 2-0. Fulham, Burnley, both gone away wins. Burnley playing a different brand of football these days. And, Chris
Wood flying.
Absolutely. So we've both gone, again, Fulham like West Brom, very little to play for. Page 2 of the fixtures, United, Leicester. You, interestingly, have gone on a away win.
I have.
What's the thinking there?
The thinking is that I think United are going to be knackered.
What, after Roma and Villa?
Yeah, and I just think, I don't know how they're going to approach this game. And I did say earlier that I think, Leicester might be happy with a draw, but I think they might have too much for them with Vardy and Iheanacho up front, and the midfield looking so strong, and the wing backs. And I wonder what team United are going to play. And there is a part of me that thinks this is the game where we see some rotation for United, more so than the Villa game actually. So yeah, I'm gonna back Leicester in this one. I think they're gonna win it.
Okay, I've gone 1-1. Southampton Palace 2-1. I've gone 1-1 there as well. Chelsea Arsenal, we've both gone a home win, 1-0, 2-1. Villa Everton, I've gone the away win here. Everton away from home, I think I really fancied them. And Villa are kind of, Watkins is playing very well. El Ghazi in flashes, but I think Everton, they're a funny team. You can never predict.
Beat them last week.
Yeah.
2-1. Villa.
Yeah, they did. But I think revenge here, away from Goodison Park, Everton pick it up, don't they? And we've both gone Liverpool win at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So you basically have predicted United to lose both their games.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's ridiculous, right? 3 games in 6 days. It's completely
5
insane.
days. 5 days.
It's completely insane. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm going to back in their last 2 games that they lose.
I mean, the narrative I'm going with in that game is United will want to keep it tight, and it will be tight, and Liverpool will just nick a goal at the end, near the death. But I mean, it's very hard. I mean, obviously, it's pure speculation, but you've got to think the amount of games in that short space of time will affect what we see in those matches. So we'll see, won't we? Okay, we are going to look at the captain situation next. And this will start with the matrix, which we won't dwell on too much. I think what the matrix shows, though, primary candidates in the first column, that Salah, is going to be a great captain option for the final 3 game weeks. And now that he's got the double as well, if you haven't got Salah, I find it difficult to justify not getting him in at this point in any wildcard situation, certainly. And if you haven't got him, again, should you be distracted by United players and go without Salah over the last 4? I think that's difficult. I think that's difficult to justify, really, given the fixtures that he's got. West Brom, Burnley and Palace to end on, all matches that presumably Liverpool will need to win. They've got the incentive and the firepower to do damage in those games, you think. So, yeah, I mean, it looks very good for Liverpool assets over this run-in as well. Differentials-wise, we've said before, game weeks 36, 37 and 38, got some nice options there. And I think Antonio has got to be in there now, hasn't he? Like you said, we've got Lingard highlighted for matches against Brighton, West Brom, Southampton. But Lingard, I thought, at Burnley, played a different role. He seemed to be out wide more often, coming deeper more often. And that worried me a bit. I want to hold him, but I'm now thinking that he could be disposable and he could be benchable for this game week with just a single fixture. What's your thoughts on, if you didn't have Lingard or Antonio, I presume you'd go Antonio now?
Yeah, I think so. It was obvious with Lingard, wasn't it? Their stats and
yeah, the data would come in eventually.
Yeah, I think if I was going to pick one now, I think I would go for Antonio, just because he's a bit different. Not many people are going to have him, and Lingard has kind of. I think Lingard is still a decent option, still going to pick up points, but I just rate Antonio so highly. And when they were both fit, I had Antonio over Lingard, and well, I didn't get away with it because Antonio got injured, but I think I did get a bit unlucky with it. So I think Antonio's an exciting captain in 37 if you can get him in.
Yeah, absolutely, because of the fixtures they got.
Especially with Iheanacho fixtures being tough.
Yeah, I'm not saying Lingard's finished yet, because he did have that chance at the death, didn't he, at Burnley, which could have gone in. And the difference is they have been going in for him. That's just not this time. So let's not give up on him yet, but we need a bit more of the eye test to see how Antonio's return is affecting stuff. Okay, captain candidates. It seems all very straightforward. If you've got Fernandes, you go with Bruno, right? Or wrong?
I want to say no. He played 90 again tonight.
Did he?
He has played. I think he's going to play 90.
That is really surprising.
He can't. Sorry, he can't have played 90. They're only at 68 minutes.
Right.
But I think it's 2-2. So he's played over 60 minutes. He's had an assist. Cavani's got 2 goals.
Right.
He's
still on,
that
though.
ties up. Surely that ties over. So
get him off. Surely
they take him off. But it's still a pretty sizable amount of minutes played as well.
I didn't expect. I expect him to come off now with 20 minutes to go. But we'll see. But yeah, it's very hard to argue against it. It's like last week when we said, well, it could be that Kane doesn't get the most points, but it's very difficult to justify taking a punt in a week where you've got such an overwhelming favourite for the captaincy.
I think if you've got him, you captain him.
Yeah,
and I think you just that it's just obvious, right? I think if you don't have him though, and it's not easy for you to get him, or there's like other players that you do want to target,
basically
like
me,
us, and me as well, exactly. Then I don't know. It's a really weird one. I can't really remember a kind of situation like this, because it is literally that what we said at the start. It seems a bad idea to rip your team apart to get him in. It seems a bad idea not to have him at all. So Really tricky. I think I'm going to avoid him. I think I am going to go for Rashford and get Calvert-Lewin.
And you're going to captain Rashford?
And I'm going to captain Rashford.
Are you?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Because I look at this data here, and Salah and Iheanacho in any other week look very strong. And Salah in particular, I think, because of the situation that Liverpool are in.
Yeah, maybe it is Salah.
They've got to win. They've got to win those games, and they're playing United, who presumably will be either weakened or tired. And Salah's data's strong.
In a triple.
I know. All in, right? You want to get all in on the triple.
I've said this before. At the end of the day, we play FPL for fun and to be entertained. It's the second triple game week in 14 years of playing it or whatever it is. Like it's, I kind of feel like, Rashford misses a game, he gets managed. Who cares? It's the triple game week. They could hit 40 points.
I get it, but for me, like I said, every United player I bring in, it's a hit in 36 now.
Yeah, no, I know.
And so I can't justify it, I don't think. And I look at this data and I look at Salah's form, minutes per shot over the last 4 game weeks, 16.6, Iheanacho 18.9, Greenwood 18 minutes, and Fernandes is good, 26.9. But Salah and Iheanacho are very strong. And Iheanacho's got Newcastle United and Salah's got Southampton United. So I guess it comes down to that second fixture and how strong will United be in those games? Will they concede goals? I think they will. I think they will concede in both games. So I think Salah, for me, is where I'll likely go. Even unless I bought Bruno in, he's the only player I'd look. I don't think I'd put it on a Greenwood or a Rashford.
Yeah, you could well be right.
What's interesting here, I'm going to show a case for and against Bruno, if you like. This is the case against as well. What I've done here, this is what I normally do, is I group the opponents together and then look at their data. So obviously Palace plays Sheffield United and Southampton. And in terms of minutes per XG conceded or minutes per XG conceded non-penalty, that is the best pairing of the double game week defences as opponents, right? No surprise there. And Leicester and Liverpool, if you're discounting the Villa fixture, which is what I've done here, I've said, right, let's forget the Villa fixture for now because we presume that United are going to play the weaker team there and Bruno doesn't play in that game. Okay? It's probably it's probably 50-50, but let's presume it for now. So let's just look at Leicester and Liverpool as opponents compared to the other double game week opponents. Leicester and Liverpool over the season, in terms of minutes per XG conceded non-penalty, are the toughest pairing, right? So probably doesn't surprise you. Look at the second table, and that's the same data, but over the last 4 matches. Look at the difference. Look at where Leicester and Liverpool are. Minutes per XG conceded non-penalty, 246.1, compared to the best, Sheffield United Southampton, 115.9. That tells you that the Leicester and Liverpool defences have been strong over the season. If anything, they've been stronger over their last 4 matches as well. So United are going up against 2 defences there that are actually playing some of their tightest football of the season, statistically, right? The thing about Liverpool and Leicester, to some extent, they concede big chances, but over the last 4 matches, the data suggests less so than any other pairing. So I've put it to you that actually United's games, if Bruno doesn't play against Villa, he'll then be going up against Leicester and Liverpool in home matches, and Bruno and United haven't been as strong at home, and in questionable form in terms of output as well. So if he is only going to play those 2 games, I don't think he is necessarily stronger than Salah or Iheanacho. What say you of that?
Well, I say I agree if he only plays 2.
Yeah.
But there is there's always that part of me that's thinking, what if he gets 3? And if he gets 3, this is the thing with double game week, isn't it? Like you don't need to win these games 4 or 5-0. He gets 2 assists against Villa and a goal against Leicester and a clean sheet against Liverpool, and that's a 20+ pointer for Fernandes. So
now the case for Fernandes, and here's the first point. There's always a chance he gets a penalty, and he hasn't got a penalty for a while. I think the last one was City.
He hasn't, no.
5 matches ago. That's the longest run without a penalty since Fernandes has been at United, that United have had 5 matches. They've never gone 6 matches without a penalty since Bruno arrived. So it does seem difficult. I mean, that has no bearing, you think. I mean, it's gambler's fallacy, isn't it? Like, it's got to happen then if they haven't had a penalty. But it does seem like, oh, blimey, without Bruno, we've been pushing our luck over the last 5 matches that they haven't had a penalty. So we cannot kind of say, oh, it's lucky here's Bruno owners getting a penalty. It's almost overdue if you look at the data. But it's gambler's fallacy, of course. But that's one thing. The other thing is looking at the data that Lego Mane put together. And what he did was exactly what I did earlier in the season. He looked at all the fixture pairs and then looked at the scores that those players would have got if those fixture pairs were actually double game weeks. And then what he's done, he's worked out an average points over those double game weeks. And Bruno is out on top. 13.2 is his average if you paired the double game weeks. I think it's probably better shown in this chart here, which is only the United players. And Lego Mane, by the way, this is brilliant work. At Lego Mane _ FPL. Follow him immediately. He's fantastic. He does loads of stuff like this. You can see here Bruno's fixtures and the pairings and how it works, right? And you can see the cluster between game week 21 and 26, where he would have got 20 points in one pairing, 24 in another, 16 in another, 21 in another, 15 in another. That area there, he scored heavily. So if they were double game weeks, he'd have done you brilliantly, right? It's tailed off a lot. There's a lot more red in that column recently. But over the season, if you'd have paired up United's fixtures like that, game weeks 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, etc., and you'd have done it with all the players who have got double game week, he is out in front, an average of 13.2 points. Surprise you? Probably not.
No, high scoring player in the game, right? It doesn't surprise me at all, but it worries me.
Yeah, worries me as well. I know. So that would. But what is encouraging is just behind him on 11.5 is Salah. And what's encouraging for Salah is there's a column here called Form, where Lego Mane has just looked at the last 4 pairs for every player. And if you look at just the last 4 pairs for every player, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the form player, 18.3 points he's averaged. Then you got Iheanacho, 17.3. Then you got Watkins, 12.8. Then you got Salah on 11. So over the season, Salah has averaged 11.5 points per double game week pairing, and over the last 4, he's got 11. So he looks to me as a very good fullback, as in not a fullback, but a fullback plan if you don't have Bruno. Yeah. And potentially, let's talk about Trent, 18.3 points he would have averaged. I mean, let's look at the Liverpool table that he's done here, and you see that the pairings 28 to 30, Trent would have got 21 points if that was a double game week. 30 to 31, he'd have got 23 points. 31 to 32, 19 points. 32 to 33, 10 points. If any of those are double game weeks and you captained him, you would be quids in. Quids in, probably not the term I want to use this week, but yeah, quids in. But so what do you think to Trent? I mean, the fixtures, Southampton at home, United away. United away could be a
If it wasn't a triple game week, I would be considering him because, I captained Trent 2 weeks ago over Salah when they had Newcastle at home because I still believe that this big haul for him is coming, like we keep saying. But to me, I want to captain a triple game player just because I want to, and I think if I was going to pick a non-triple player, I'd pick Calvert-Lewin. So I like it a lot, and I really like these stats, and I think Salah and Trent are perfectly fine, but they wouldn't be who I'd be going for.
Calvert-Lewin has averaged 9.3 over the season for his payments, so not bad at all. And he's got away fixtures at Villa and West Ham.
2 away fixtures, that's what I like.
And those defences have had their moments where they've conceded goals recently. Villa's defence has perked up a bit, but West Ham certainly has been. But yeah, it's Everton, isn't it? It's just, you just don't know what you're going to get. But true, if Liverpool hadn't have got their double game week, Calvert-Lewin, it would have been out of Calvert-Lewin and Iheanacho for me as well. So he was in the frame, definitely. So this basically suggests that, again, if you've got Bruno, you're mad to overlook him, of course. And if you can get Bruno for a free, then you'd get him. But you've got to look at
Can
36.
get him for free.
Can you get him for free? Well, let's have a look at your team and see what you can do. Let's talk us through it then. This is what you've got at the moment.
Yeah. So, so Mendy in goal, Trent, Castagna, Rudiger, then Salah, Son, Greenwood, Jota, Keenan Davis, Kane, and Iheanacho. So the plan before yesterday was easy: Keenan Davis to Calvert-Lewin, done, no hit. I think it would be 9 double game week players. I was really happy with that. And then everything's just been kind of thrown out the window. So I've got enough money to do a straight swap back of Son to Fernandes.
But if you do that, looking at your team, you have got, in 36 then, you've got Mendy, Castagna, Rudiger, Greenwood, Fernandes, Iheanacho and Holding without fixtures. You're buggered for 36.
I know, exactly, right? So instead, I could do Davis to Calvert-Lewin because that gets me that extra player in for 36. And I could do Son to Rashford just as a bit of a kind of, knowing that I'd probably have to take a hit to get him out again. So it's like 8 points. I don't know. This is it. It is all quite stressful, and it was all kind of okay
so
before.
You'll lose 8 points if you go Son to Rashford.
Yeah. That's not worth it, is it?
It's not worth it, is it? No, I just don't. Because Rashford probably won't play all 3 matches either. So if Rashford's only going to play 2 matches, you're spending 8 points to get him in. Nah, don't see it.
No. So then it's kind of my decision's made then.
It's plan A, isn't it? Yeah.
Davis to Calvert-Lewin and go with 1 United player and no Fernandes in a triple game week.
But it comes down to that 36 situation where you would have to you'd have 6 players not playing. So you'd have to take at least 2 hits, wouldn't you, in 36 if you got another United player in for us. Unless you got a United player in for Rudiger, you could get another defender in for Rudiger, and then you're not losing anything and you're gaining. I mean, Rudiger probably won't play both games. Well, he might do, I guess, but
yeah, that's an option.
I mean, it's Holding as well.
I could only get Lindelof.
Yeah.
Or I could do, Rudiger to someone like Keane.
But that doesn't get you a triple game week player, is it? I mean,
it doesn't get me triple, but it gets me a double and another fixture in the next week.
In 36, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really want Calvert-Lewin, so I think I'm gonna do Davies to Calvert-Lewin. If I do that, then I can't get Fernandes.
I mean, at least you got Greenwood. I don't think there's a panic here. I mean, I think Greenwood is a better captain than Rashford myself. I mean,
I'm not
maybe not
panicking. I'm just thinking there's potential here, right? There could be something amazing that happens, and I'm probably not gonna hit it.
Yeah, it's fear of missing out, isn't it? That's the thing, and it's big. And if you look at my team, it's even greater for me. I mean, at the moment, in 36, if I go Alonso to Dina, in 36, I've only got Mendy, Rudiger, Holding and Iheanacho missing. And so my free transfer in 36 can get me 11 out, right? If I go Alonso to Dina. That means I have no United in 35. But I don't have to take any hits in 36. And plus what you've got to think is, we're presuming as well, all our players are fit. It could be that, I have to take a hit because I have an injury. And it could be that Rafinha isn't fit, so I have to take a hit anyway. So it could get even worse. If I went Son to Fernandes, I might have to I'd have to at least spend 4 in 36, and it might be more than that if Rafinha isn't fit. So if I do the Son to Fernandes move and Bruno only plays twice, I don't think it's worth it. I don't, because I'll be spending 4 points this week, definitely 4 points next week, possibly more than that if Rafinha's not fit. It's that really put. I mean, if only we had the free hit or the wild card, we don't. So it's difficult for us. I mean, I know, I get it. You see people going bar humbug. The difficult thing, the bar humbug, as in we're really down on this treble, and I don't want my own situation to bias me, but it obviously does, because I look at this and go, I've got no United players. So
surely you'd get rid of Alonso.
I am. Yeah.
What for Dean?
That's what I was going to do. Yeah, yeah. And again, I think Dean has got 2 good fixtures, and he's got a good fixture in 36. Yeah. He's got West Brom in 36. So
no, that's what that's
yeah. I mean, I could go Alonso to Maguire, but no, we're
going to look back at this podcast and be like, what the.
Yeah, I know we could do, but the other side of the coin is if I captain Salah and he comes in, then and Bruno only plays 2 games and maybe keeps the kind of output he's had, then it might not be a bad thing. So yeah, odds are stacked against us, put it that way. The data models suggest we should go Fernandes, and I can't argue with that. But
common sense
and yeah, but I don't see it with the hits that we'd have to take.
I know.
I just don't see it. So very, very tough call. Very tough call. And the fact that he played tonight, and is he still on the pitch?
He came off. Got 83 minutes.
83 minutes. That's not. He doesn't play all 3 games. There's no way.
I know. I don't think so.
No way now. No, if he'd have played 60, I would be thinking maybe. Surely not.
You can't play at this level of football.
So if he only plays the Leicester and the Liverpool games, which I still think are the most likely, he's playing up against 2 very strong defences in recent form. I know Liverpool aren't never a strong defence.
I knew this podcast was going to stress me out, and it has.
I think I'm quite happy having no Bruno. Good luck to you if you got him.
Oh, that's a soundbite.
Yeah, I'm quite happy not having Bruno. Having seen him play 83 tonight, I'm quite happy that he'll only play 2. And yes, he could bang in those 2, but I think if he plays Leicester and Liverpool, those are fixtures that I don't look at and think there's big scores there for United players. And even if there is, Bruno has been missing out when United have scored. So, yeah, I'm all right with that. We've got to be all right with it. Let's look at the BlackBox League. We didn't look at it last week. And the good news is Nathan Joblin's been pushing up the ranks. He's 19th. And presumably he's captaining Bruno. Thank God, this don't listen to us. So he's done very well. He's still in with a shout, of course. I don't know if Connor's in tonight. He normally is in.
Yeah, he's there.
Connor's slipped down the... Come on, Connor, pull yourself together.
I know.
We won't be able to mention you if you don't stay in this top 20. He's gone down to 10th. We've got Torge Hegner in 2nd, Michael Atkins in 3rd. So they're 22nd and 39 respectively. And then Vergaard Knudsen is 73rd in the world, 4th in our league. Axel Altin just outside the top 100. Brilliant season in 5th at the moment. So well done, those guys. We'll follow you to the end, and hopefully one of you, if not more, are in the equation on the final day, which is always exciting. Fest tickets go on sale tomorrow, and it would be remiss of me not to mention that. On sale 9 o'clock for the launch party, which I've had a tough week with that this week, haven't I?
You have. I know.
It's been very difficult. We got it very wrong with the announcement. Very, very wrong. I mean, I've said a lot about it already. I don't know if I want to talk too much.
Yeah,
more,
I think anyone that's kind of wondering what Fest is and what all the drama's been and all of that, or maybe has some kind of reservations about the whole thing, should definitely check out the video that Mark and I did on Booner's pod. I think I've been thinking about it quite a lot this week, and like the idea of Fest to me is brilliant, right? The whole idea of it, it's an idea you've had for ages. It's been backed. It's there's actual like plans going into it. It's it's supposed to be an event for everyone in the community to get together, meet each other, chat FPL. More so than in a pub, because obviously you can meet in a pub and you can rent out a pub and you can do that. And we've all been, well, we haven't all been to them, but I've been to quite a few meetups and they're great, right? It's not trying to replace that. And just so everyone knows, I'm not involved in Fest at all. Like I have absolutely no stake in it whatsoever. That I'm just giving my kind of opinion of what I've seen and from talking to you of how of what it kind of. I think the problem that I've seen this week, and again, it's a few loud voices in the community who like to stir things up about this divide that I don't think exists between content creators and other FPL managers, right? And there seems to be this idea that content creators are all about the money. They want to monetize everything as much as possible. You've got like Trigger Lips podcast where he's saying that, the content's all rubbish and people don't put any effort in and they don't deserve to earn money and all this thing. And that we, as people who, you know, sit and record stuff and people listen to us, think we're this elite group of people who deserve respect and admiration and stuff. And to me, it just could not be further from the truth. And I think that's where Fest, the communications, did break down, because I think people sensed that it was £20 for a ticket to meet Andy and General.
Well, we put out £50 for VIP, which is
exactly,
a big mistake. We shouldn't have called it VIP, and £50 was obviously not something that we should have done. I mean, we had ideas to boost that offering further that we never had time to talk about, but it was killed immediately. We realised our mistake, and we should have realised it before we announced it. And I can't tell you how much I regret that. It's horrible. I feel horrible about it, and I'm sure Ed and Charlie feel the same. And we regret it, but I don't want it to kill the whole idea, because
no.
I always, like, when I saw that, you know, James did a live event, Planet FPL did a live event. They did one with Who Got the Assist, I think, as well. And I contacted James and I said, look, I want to do the next one with you. I'd really like to do. So that's what I had in mind. And then when Ed put up about what he was thinking of doing Fest, I jumped on that concept, because I'd already had chats to James about it, and already, you know, I think I said to Tom when I was on Who Got the Assist that if they're thinking of doing any live dates, we would like to be part of that as well. And so I never thought of it being any bigger than that. But then this Fest idea came up, and then we got carried away with the concept of it. And I think that's right. I think the community is big enough to have something like this. I really do, and that's why I'm backing it.
Yeah.
But if I've got it wrong, if we've got it wrong, then fair enough. If the community doesn't want it, we won't do it. But
it's such a tricky one, because I think like I would never call into question your integrity with things and the reasons you get in to do stuff. And the same with Gianni and Ed. Like I genuinely believe from all the stuff that I've seen and read that the intention is to just create a good event that can be, you know, that can happen on a regular basis and make something really special for people. And I think people don't believe that, and I think the divide between content creators and other people is made to be this big chasm by people who just continuously shout and make it into this big deal when it's not. I mean, I saw a tweet the other day saying, like, what's the thing you hate most about content creators? And like the top one was that they never engage with people with less followers. They only engage, you know, with people with similar followings. And I just thought, firstly, we're going to engage more with people who do content, who do like the content stuff, because I know people like Tom from Who Got the Assist, and I know people like Andy and stuff. So I chat to them more because I know them personally, and I've done podcasts with them, and I have that. But secondly, pretty much every single podcast that I see engages with people on a regular basis. People will reply to their videos. They'll say thank you. They'll say glad you enjoyed it. They'll retweet stuff. And I don't know, I don't think it's me being biased as someone who sits here and does this with you. I just don't see that happening. And I think when I see people shouting about it and people jumping in on it and retweeting stuff, it gets built up to the point where other people read it and then they start to believe it themselves. And I think that's what's happened with Fest. And
I don't want Fest to be part of that equation that creates that divide. And I think there's a danger that it could be. And I want to be positive about it. Look, you know, it goes on sale. Tickets go on sale tomorrow, right? And it's £18 with the early bird promotion if you use that when you sign up. That's the website. I want to be positive about it. I want it to be a success, obviously, because I think it can grow. My idea for this in the future is, you know, if we're going to get ISM who make the game, make FPL, and we're going to get the chance to talk to them and ask them questions, do a Q&A with them, it's not going to happen in a pub. It's going to happen at something like this. This is our chance to have that kind of audience with the people who make the game. We can create an event which can give us that audience and that platform as people who enjoy the game. Just like I'm in the games industry, as I said before, we get access to game devs at these events, these big gaming events, these conventions. And that's what Fest can be for the makers of the fantasy games, for the people who play the game and love it as much as we do, whether they be content creators or not. It's not just for content creators on Twitter. It's for hardcore fans out there, it's for casual fans out there if they want to come as well. But I think it can turn into an event where ISM do attend every year and ask questions and answer questions on what's going to happen in the future of the game. I think the Premier League will want to be part of this because it will become something that they would want to be part of, because in that venue are going to be lots of players who love their game and they'll want to talk to them and converse with them. That's what I want it to turn into. This is just a launch party, right? This is a smaller kind of kick-off thing where we want to get people together and see if there's support for the idea. And, you know, I fear that we've caused more harm than good with the initial announcement. And I really hope not. I really hope that people get on board of it and come to the party and we kick on from there. But, you know, if things go the other way, I'll think about my involvement with it because I
think you need to, right? Because it's stress. Like
I don't want that.
Happen.
Yeah,
no, I know.
I've got nothing personal invested in it, and there's nothing to gain from it other than I'm supporting it because I like it as an idea, and I think it could be great for the community. It can take us on and give us a stand-in and get us an audience for the people who make these games, not just FPL but the other games as well, because they will want to be part of something like this if it gets to the size we expect it to and want it to. But we'll see. Enough of that. Let's talk about the other venture that we got, which is The Apprentice, because we've got some new candidates and we may have found our candidates, but it's not over yet. We're going to keep looking, probably up until game week 38, right? Because we'll probably pick them around that time.
I mean, I've got mine.
You think it's done deal with you, don't you?
Yeah, mine's a done deal. Yeah.
I've got one. I've got I've got a good candidate as well. But if you're interested, it's probably less likely to be people watching this, but more about people that they know. If your brother, your girlfriend, your dad, your wife, whatever, like football and wonder about the thing that you're obsessed about and perhaps want to be part of that and join in too, then we'd like to hear from you, because we are taking on 2 apprentices next season, people who are new to FPL ideally, that we can work with and kind of help to learn the game, but also introduce them to some of the concepts around FPL and the community and see how that affects their decision making. And it'd be a fascinating thing and a lot of fun, hopefully. That we'll do some videos with them, so we want them to be on camera with us. We'll do some podcasts with them. We don't know how much yet, we don't know how successful it's going to be, but we're having a go and see what happens. So if you know anybody who would fit that bill, then get in touch on apprentice@fplblackbox.com, and we're looking forward to it, aren't we, Az?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. It's just the smash and likes, I think, now.
Yeah. So I'm doing something a little bit different this time.
What are you doing?
I'm not going to do a special. And I know we've been talking for quite a bit, and people might be ready for bed or a bit bored. But I just want to talk a little bit about the blackout and stuff, because obviously I took part in it. Scout took part in it. Lots of people did. Lots of people didn't. That's fair enough. I've got no aims. But I think everyone's agreed with the underlying message of it, against this kind of abuse and against any form of bullying and stuff online. And this week's been a funny week because I've seen some bad parts of Twitter, and I'm annoyed with myself because I allowed myself to get quite into it and got myself annoyed and ended up calling everyone twats. And I'm not claiming to be perfect, but I just want to just kind of remind anyone that's listening that it's still a global pandemic going on. There's an end in sight, but people are depressed, people are lonely, family members are ill, people might be ill themselves. And the words and stuff that you write on Twitter to people can have a massive impact on people's mental health. So, we're a community, we're going to argue. And it's not about giving opinions about stuff. Like the stuff on Fest, if people don't agree with tickets or if they feel a certain way, they should be allowed to express it. Of course they should. But there's ways of doing it that I think when it starts bordering into the personal, like attacks on people, I think people really need to just kind of check themselves and just make sure that what they write is what they believe, and they're not just kind of getting caught up in the heat of the moment, and just think about what they say. And on the flip side of that, I think positive stuff that you can say to people can have a massive impact. And I mean, you know me, a month ago, I was in a really bad place. I was going through a breakup. I was really down. And people have reached out to me. One person in particular has been an absolute, massive part of me sitting here smiling away, being happy. So people just need to remember that and reach out to people on Twitter, DM people, get chatting with people, and not just on Twitter, but friends and family. If there's a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, just send them a text, check in with them, see how it's going. It feels like we're coming to like some kind of end to all this awful 13, 14 months, but we're not there yet. So rather than smash and like, my sermon's over, just be nice to people and check in and make sure everyone's doing okay.
Oh, that's very true, as very well said. And I've got to say as well, I got a lot of DMs in the last week supporting me, and obviously I was quite impassioned by what went on as well this week, and I want to say thank you to all the people who reached out that, and also if my DMs are still open for anyone who wants to get in touch about any issues that they've got with the community, in the community this week and whatever. But it's absolutely right. I mean, I leave my DMs open and try and reply to as much as I can. And yeah, I need to be more active in the community in terms of giving out positivity. I try, but I see ironically, I see some of the content creators and they do a brilliant job at that. I never really look on and see that aspect of things.
It's overwhelming to me how many people reach out when when I posted something a while ago, but I think it was about 8 or 9 months ago, and I think it was about the Movember thing, saying that I wasn't doing too well and blah blah blah. And I've said it before, the amount of messages that come in, and honestly, every message like that made a difference to me.
Yeah,
like genuinely. So the power you have on Twitter as an anonymous account. It's a lot because you can hurt people, but you can also really bring people up. So I think everyone just needs to remember that.
Well said, but still smash and like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it from us. Are we doing any questions afterwards, Az? What do you want to do? Yeah, come on, let's do that.
I'll grab a beer.
Okay, I'll get a drink as well. I haven't had a drink. I've had a gin and tonic, and I've nursed it all through the show. I only had about a little bit left, so. Brewdog haven't
sponsored.
No, Brewdog haven't come back with the Vegas tickets yet, so I'm not really interested. Anyway, I'll go get a drink as well. So we're going to do the QA after the show, but for podcast listeners and for this stream at the moment, it's a good night for me.
Good night, everyone.